Welcome to IT Live. I'm Joe Cook. That's Coach Dub. That's Eric Naleen. Thank you for watching. We're talking recruiting. We're talking what was a great weekend for the Longhorns. Baseball, softball getting going right after we're done with our show. Lots of great stuff going on the 40 acres. Lots of great stuff going on in Inside Texas. So make sure you head over there. 50% off your first year. Don't have the graphic for that quite yet, but just trust us. It's that first link in the description. It's that QR code at the top left of the screen. 50% off your annual subscription. It's all part of On3's summer sale. So come check it out. Eric, this was a fun weekend to be a Longhorn fan. It's one of those things where football, like team stuff, is going to start rearing back up now that the squad has reported for summer workouts. But everything else, all the other sports are having some happening weekends over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I needed Inside Texas to keep track of it all. It's not like I could sit there and watch everything. So, yeah, busy Monday morning getting caught up. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Rowing wins a national championship. That's pretty good. The fourth in the last 6 years. I wasn't aware of that. Good thing I've got Inside Texas. Softball, oh, my gosh, they've got to play here in an hour and a half, right? And they've got to take two from Tennessee after a thrilling win over Nebraska yesterday. That Nebraska pitcher's a stud. Baseball, another one by the skin of their teeth. Just a wild weekend. And then Sark, I don't know how Sark does it. He had all day long with recruiting, and then he transitions immediately to the team. I know they were supposed to have a meeting last night at 6:00 where just everybody reports, gets on the same page, and workouts are already happening this morning. So very busy weekend in Austin.
Over the weekend, we had some intel on, or maybe not intel, but just what the guys need to work on. As you know, there are a handful of summer enrollees. There are, you have Lawrence Seymour coming in. I think there's one more. I wrote it. I should know it, but I can't. That's the main one. Lawrence Seymour.
Snow?
Say again.
Snow?
Yes, Darius Snow.
Nick Hudson twice now, Joe. You got to remember the guys you write about.
I know Nick Hudson from Brown, and then there's one more. Paris Patterson,
and a couple high school kids that you left out of that article, Joe.
Yep.
Nicholas Robertson.
Huh? Justin got the high school version of that.
Oh, okay. So, all right. And then Ali, so I'm excited to hear about Nicholas Robertson. I'm going to be asking about him a lot because I do think he has a chance to play early in his career, not to mean this year. That's Lawrence Seymour's, but I'm hoping to hear really good things about Nicholas Robertson very early, and then we can start factoring him as a guy that's going to compete to play in his second year on campus. That's the hope anyways.
Coach, what's it like when these guys roll in? Obviously there is a small acclimation period for getting used to how you lift and run and just live in Austin, but what's like the most important thing for some of these players, whether they are high schoolers or whether they are former high schoolers or portal players as they show up to the campus?
Honestly, day one is full go. Like, you just better catch up and get up to speed quickly, because everybody who's been in the spring, they're just going to continue what they've been doing. So if you're a new guy coming in from high school or the portal, it's like, hey, you're expected just to jump in and go. I know it'd be a slow period as far as meetings and learning, the schedule and things like that. But when it comes to workouts and everything else, get in line and go pretty much, and get up to speed as fast as you can on film and learn the playbook and everything else. So if you're a young guy, just get in back of the line and learn, get some mental reps in. If it's a play, you're not in the play, do your correct steps anyway, right? Try to learn as you go because you're expected to just kind of jump in and go. I know it's a lot. It can be hard. It can be tough, but that's the kind of way fall summer camp is.
These guys are kind of learning how the coaches interact with them. And when you go to a camp, that's like your first little appetizer taste of how you interact with coaches. Texas had a camp. Our guy Deshae jumps in. Carter St. Junius from Manville and Peyton Smith from LaPorte. I know that Peyton Smith name. If I know that 28, I know he's already made some waves. And those are two guys who picked up offers. There are a lot of guys who got some offers thrown their way. And Eric, this kind of marks the start of the big June recruiting month. And a couple of these really talented juniors to be were making their case known on the 40 acres.
That was the most active I've seen the staff with offers. I think they're getting a lot more aggressive. I think that's a must-champ input. Just get on these guys earlier. Carter St. Junius, I went by Manville earlier in May, and unfortunately he wasn't there that day. Must have had some testing or something. They ended up offering 3 guys from Manville yesterday. They're back to being loaded like ever with Coach Kirk Martin back in the saddle after a few years. And then Peyton Smith, that guy jumps out to me on tape. Like it kind of reminds me of Bryson Thrower, who Texas is trying to get committed here in the next week or so. Just a lot of offers went out yesterday. Carter St. Junius has a ton of them. Wish I could have seen him. But I'll be back in Manville just because they're so loaded. But yeah, it's a very active day. Lots of linemen offered, lots of bigs. I'm excited to see that. They're the hardest to get. So the earlier you recruit them, the better your case is, the easier it is, the earlier you can build that relationship. Very active day. They put out a ton of offers. I'm still going through tape. There were some guys that were a little under the radar that they offered. I like that. Noble Johnson, running back out of Alexandria, Louisiana. Obviously, Jabbar Jaluk is going to have some insight there. Going through his tape because he really caught me off guard with how good it was. Big kid that's fast. They actually scrimmaged against St. Augustine, and that's where Jaluk is from, I believe, right? I think Jaluk coached St. Augustine. Yeah. He's got all the information on this kid. I really like that. And then Rush Williams, kid at Katy Jordan. I was a huge fan of his dad, Reggie Williams, back in the day. I think Reggie played against Texas in the Holiday Bowl, where the amazing comeback due to Major Applewhite. Reggie was drafted like number 9 overall, and to see that his son is down there at Katy Jordan, right in our backyard, that's nice. It's a huge bonus for Texas that all these former NFL players live, especially in Houston. It seems like with the ex-NFL play. I know there's some up in Dallas too, but there are just so many, especially on the south side of Houston, where there's just NFL bloodlines, and it makes it a little easier to get these guys at least interested in your program.
Speaking of Manville, Coach, I'll go to a guy you wrote about, and that is Brayson Robinson, 2028 edge. Some good insight there. And then there was also some interesting things that he relayed from a current Texas commit, 2027 commit, that the Longhorns want to keep in the class.
Yeah, he was excited to get the offer. He was excited to actually earn the offer. And a lot of times you see these kids who already got offers, they don't want to show up at camp and work out and go earn it. But this kid he wanted to come earn an offer. But teammate of Greedy James. And so Greedy's been telling him a lot of things about Texas, a lot of great things. And so he was excited to see it himself, right? You hear from a teammate, you hear from somebody else, third party, and it's like, hey, okay, now I get to go a chance to check out the Texas campus myself and get around these coaches. So I think that's a positive sign, with Greedy. If he's talking up Texas to a teammate and then that teammate gets to live it and go, get to see it in person, I think that's always, bodes well as, Texas try to keep him in his class. And so that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Greedy was not participating in that practice I went to that day. And so we just stood on the sidelines BSing for about 30 minutes, and he was pointing out all the guys that I need to know. And he pointed out Brayson real early. Well, first of all, he really stands out on the field. He's easy to spot. And then also they offered the Greedy's going to play corner this year. They offered the opposite corner, Major Armstrong, a move in from Jasper, who played the athlete position for Jasper, just kind of quarterback, whatever. Really good looking cornerback prospect. They offered him in the 2028 class. So Manville's loaded, and it sounds like Greedy's a really good ambassador for that class at a pretty opportune time.
I think it's also a good thing to bring up. I brought up CJ Whaley, Brian Arakpo Jr. I know y'all saw this. Adrian Peterson Jr. Adrian Peterson on the 40 acres with his son. Houston, where in the Houston area? Is he
up in the Woodlands?
Okay.
Right on the line of Spring and where the Woodlands kind of just overlap and become one. They're right in that area.
And shouldn't it be AD Junior? Isn't that the common argument? It's like his nickname is not AP, it's AD. Yeah. So Charlie, going to go through some of the more of the players that you were able to post some notes on. You posted notes. Justin posted notes. So go check that out on Inside Texas. And one of the important ones, I think, that was a member of the 2027 class, and that it made it a little bit of a family affair. Cam Hall, the Texas commit from Mansfield Summit, came down and was working with one of his cousins who also earned an offer.
Yeah, Cam Hall didn't have to come work at the camp, but he wanted to, right? Yeah, for 2 reasons. He wanted to get coached by Alan Clark and kind of go through drills, but he had his younger cousin there with him from Louisville, Kentucky, Keelan, and so he was like, hey, since my cousin's showing up, I'm definitely coming, right? I want to show him the ropes. I've been to Austin. I want to tell him all about it and show him in person. And so it's pretty cool to get 2 cousins working out together. You can tell he has the big cousin thing. He was like, hey, I'm taking the pictures, like, hey, throw up the hook. And was like, no, you're coming here. Like, it was just, to see the big cousin move. And but it was great to see those 2 guys, see the whole family there actually supporting them. And so I think that it bodes well for Texas because, you got a family member who's committed. He's telling you all the great things about Texas, and he's showing you, hey, this is going to be your coach. This is what they told me. I believed in it. You should believe in it too. So it was huge to see that. I know he's visiting a ton of schools while he's here in Texas. I know he was at A&M. I think he's going to go TCU next and stuff before he heads back out. But just have your older cousin who's committed to Texas show you the ropes, show you the coaching staff, who you should know, who you should hang around. Things like here's other assistants you should know in the scouting team. Like he showed him the ropes, man. I wouldn't call him big cousin. I call him big brother because that's what he acted like. It's pretty cool to see, family members on campus together yesterday.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, this is an opportunity for, did Cam participate or was he just kind of there?
Cam participated. He participated yesterday. He said he wanted to go through the full workout with Coach Clark. Kind of gives them an insight, hey, this guy's going to be coaching me next year, so let me go through the drills too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because, he's got the offer. He is committed, and he didn't have to do that. And, you've written pretty extensively about how the camps, at least under Steve Sarkisian, have become very competitive. And it is a way now, like all these different camps at whatever school, you have to earn your offer based off film, based off stuff like that. But, like, this is a case where it kind of seems like the competition actually, brings these stars to campus and it works out in Texas' favor.
I just got a flashback to the under the lights camps that Charlie Strong would have, and they had Devin White, the stud that played at LSU, and Texas didn't offer him. Like, we just don't know what position he's going to play.
He's going to play football. Like, that's one of those that you just look at and you're like, come on, let's think about it. We'll go through some of the process. You kind of went over Keelan Hall right there. CJ Craig James. The funny name, the name is always going to make everybody chuckle. But this is a recruit that Texas has kind of made some progress with, despite being from a couple states over.
Yeah, definitely. So I first wrote about this kid because he's real close to Marshawn Sales, right? They call each other family, and he was always been interested in Texas before he even got the Texas offer. So this is his first chance to get down to Texas and check it out. Him and Blake Gidding have been building a relationship ever since he got the offer. But he came and worked out as well. I know he has maybe 30-something offers, maybe even more than that. He didn't have to work out, but he wanted to go through the drills and be coached up too. But he called it the absolute best visit he's ever been on, right? So he's like, I love working out. I love Coach Orfe, Coach Blake Gidding. Like, man, and they're intense, but I love it. I wanted to be coached, and I got the firsthand experience to see what that was like. But he absolutely loved Texas and the visit.
One of the other things that we'll go, did you get the chance to talk to very many of the quarterbacks who were there?
I didn't get a chance to talk to the quarterbacks. I had other kids I was talking to when the quarterbacks came out. They kind of came out sporadic when they were coming out getting dropped off. But, all the kids talked about, Ty Snell from Allen and then Nehemiah Lawrence is the top quarterbacks. Like, those guys can actually absolutely spin it, and they put the ball on the money all day in camp.
We'll get to quarterbacks in a little bit. Let's keep going with Geraci Carlson, which is funny that his first name is pretty much the same as a Texas commit's last name. Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi from Lanier. What did you get from him and speaking with him?
First of all, this kid's built like a tank. Like, I thought he was in the NFL already. I mean, he looks well put together like a ton of other Mississippi kids. But he wanted to come here. Him and his coaches came from Mississippi. They know Kenny Baker very well. He's another kid. They're like, hey, you don't have to work out. He's like, I'm coming to seek and destroy. And talk about the mentality. Like, he doesn't have to, another kid who didn't have to work out. But he's like, I didn't have all these offers before. I had to earn it. So I'm going to come show you why you offered me. So he wanted to come and prove to Texas why he deserved an offer from Texas. And he deserved his ranking in the 2028 class. And so he came on and put on the show. But he loved to visit here in Texas. He's the only thing he didn't like was the plane ride here because he was on one side was one seater and the other had two on the other side. He said it was all cramped up on the flight to Texas, but other than that, that's the only bad part about it.
Eric, this is right in the middle of Kenny Baker's, his prime recruiting area, and getting these guys to fly in shows how connected Kenny is in that southern region still.
Yeah, you got to go where they are. You got to go recruit them where they are. And the South that's always been the big advantage the South has, that they've got. Look, even when Mississippi State has been average, they've had defensive linemen in the NFL. Ole Miss too, and then Alabama's plucked that state. You got to go where they are. Mississippi produces a lot of NFL talent, and a lot of NFL talent you don't typically find in Texas. Like Coach was just talking about, some of these guys are built like grown men.
This is an interesting one because he's a small town kid, Jamarios Canton. But he's also going to IMG Academy, and Texas has had some good experience with IMG Academy in the past couple of years. Maybe have to deal with it a little bit more in the coming cycle. But Canton is someone who obviously has been on the radar for a little while, and what did he go over from talking with you from the camp?
Yeah, he said it was an opportunity for him to just kind of get back and connect with the staff, Coach Kyle Flood, and be around the guys and be coached up as well. Didn't tell many people he was coming. He's like, I just kind of wanted to show up and work out and take it in the pool party and hang out here in Texas as, take some visit ads before I get to summer workouts where I'm really trying to grind and get better. But he said he just loved being around, the Texas program and the coaching staff and all the other players. He's like, man, there's so much talent. To see so much talent on campus at once, Texas is really trying to, do something big. And so he wanted to be a part of it.
What do you have what do you eyeball his size at?
I would say he's close to 6'5". He looks, I'm trying to think, he looks a bit, he kind of reminds me of a bigger John Turntine, who Turntine is now. He's a little bit close to, I would say he's close to 6'5".
All right. This guy should probably be a 5-star because he's been my favorite. He's been my favorite guy in that class since we first saw him a long time ago when he played defensive line. That's when I first caught my eye. Then you start seeing the basketball highlights, break containment out there. And I'm like, goodness gracious. And I'm talking about him way early. Nobody cares about the class, 2 classes ahead. And then he moves to IMG. And I kind of forgot about him, honestly, until, oh, good. Okay, now I remember him. I went and looked at his tape. And holy stuff, does his athleticism come out on tape on offensive tackle. The quick feet. He's still learning to play the position, you could tell, but the natural ability that is there. I think he's thinking a little too much, but my Lord, this guy is a stud. If there's 10 better offensive tackles in the country, then Texas should be getting all of – just go get 2 of them, man. I want this kid in the class. I think he's an absolute stud.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, that is Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Charlie, any other big names from 2028 you want to go over that you talked to, or you want to touch on maybe a little bit some of the visits that you noted of Texas targets going all over the country?
We can talk about the visit. There's there's more 28s to talk about, and we'll be posted on Inside Texas. Some other guys who were able to visit and get offered by Texas. That we definitely could talk about some other guys, some big names who visit elsewhere.
Yeah, this will be a big, so Texas limits everything to 3 official visit weekends. They'll every now and then they may bring in somebody on a midweek, but not super often. And if not, they'll wait till the season and get some of the big visits going on. You were able to track where some of Texas top targets went with the individual schools. But let's talk LSU. Let's talk Easton Royal. That was the big one to track. He always tweets pretty much everything positive about when he goes there. And Justin has had this recruitment nailed down pretty well, Eric. But Lane Kiffin got to shoot his shot in this opportunity as, Easton Royal mulls his decision and where he will finally end up.
Yeah, Justin's been I think Justin has the best coverage out of anybody in the entire country, national guys, regional, whatever, on Easton Royal and Ishmael Kamara. I just kind of sit back with Justin, follow what he says, and then, sometimes I get my own input, but usually it's something that Justin had already heard, especially on Kamara, but I've heard good things on Easton Royal as well. So LSU shooting their shot. We knew it's going to happen, and it's a good reminder that every time a guy takes an official visit, you'll start hearing such and such school made a move or whatever. We're hearing it with John Meredith. I always go back to the Vernon Broughton recruitment because I had a lot of insight on that one. And every single visit he took, it's the new school leader, you just have to sit tight and let things play out as a fan. We feel really good about Easton Royal. We have felt good about Easton Royal. Obviously, it's out there that he's signed with Athletes First, which is David Mulugeta. David Mulugeta is the Texas X. I don't think it plays that as big of a part as rival reporters or fans make it out to be. It's not a bad thing. Mulugeta is in Austin some. He's also out in L.A. a lot, but it's not like he's not going to steer his guy towards Texas unless it's a really good deal. Texas is going to have a really good deal because they're highly motivated to land Easton Royal. They have been. But also relationships matter, and Texas has very strong relationships in place in this recruitment. Like a number of recruitments that were hard to win that they were able to hold off rival schools. We've chronicled those in the past. One, it didn't pan out for him in Texas, but everybody was coming after Jamie French. Texas had a really good relationship with Jamie French, and that's what got him across the line. Easton knows that there's going to be ample financial opportunity anywhere he goes, so you might as well have the relationships along with it. And I think Texas has the strongest relationships, and we still feel good. I'm not sure you're going to find many people saying that after he takes an LSU official visit. We'll probably still feel good after he goes to Florida. It's just, we really like the way that Texas sets up for Royal. We like the way they've recruited him. He knows that he can come in and play early. He likes the offense. He likes the track record. It all lines up for him, sort of like how everything lined up for Arch Manning at Texas. Like there's not really any negative about the school for him.
This from Blake Bryant. Royal is a must get in this class, especially with Wingo and Coleman leaving. He could be a walk-in starter.
Hey man, if I only want Wingo to go if he has a truly good year. I don't want him to go just to go chase a bag because he can go solidify his future. His future's already going to be solidified. But if Wingo comes out, it turns into a first-round draft pick after this year, then we probably did some celebrating there in January.
Yeah, it'll look a lot different. This one, we'll go into where some other guys visited. From Ryan Nelson, just kind of recruiting in general. I like having a top 10 class with a tight core of about 23 to 24 commits, 60% on the blue chip ratio. The USC type of 35-man mega class will have trouble keeping all those guys, and then you still need money for the portal. I was surprised to see USC do that, but I also think Lincoln had to churn that roster because he wasn't hitting on other classes. There's still some talent, and Lincoln Riley is not afraid to play freshmen. I think we've seen that plenty. But I think Sark, who said, about they anticipate the recruiting class looking about the same size as it has these past few years. I think this is the path he's going to tread, and maybe a little bit higher blue chip ratio would be preferred, though.
The mega class is doable because every so often it's doable. You shouldn't need to take it. That's the problem. That's the indictment. It says, you have to wonder why did he need to take so many players when he's already been there as long as he has. And USC fans are pretty frustrated with Riley. They've seen much quicker turnarounds. Obviously at Indiana, that's an outlier, but elsewhere, it shouldn't take as long in the portal era to get good. Texas was in the playoffs in year 3 for Sark after 5-7 in the first year. That should be the state of a turnaround that quick. Lane Kiffin is probably going to have LSU turn around pretty damn quick because he's going to bring in a bunch of mercenaries. But yeah, the class that Texas's approach, we've chronicled it a lot, is great. They operate under the 3-pillar system: high school recruiting, retention, and portal. And you have to have a very good plan for each. You can't go all in one at the sacrifice of the others because retention is extremely important. Look at how many guys, came back for Texas. They haven't lost really anybody that they've wanted to keep. Now, is that record still intact? It seems like, they probably wanted to keep Christian Clark, but that was the thing. They could have kept him. They just didn't ante up what South Carolina was. But for the most part, they keep the guys they want, and then they add the guys they need. So they've got a really good approach. If you take 35 guys, that's going to be really expensive. Not everybody's going to come in and play for free.
Speaking of some of the guys that will help with this, Monson Sales, coach, you had him and Mitchell Turner checking out Alabama. This one, it seems like Texas had like a lot of momentum really fast, and then other people kind of crept back into it. And it was very, very quick, almost flash in the pan and it doesn't seem like that one's going to end up looking burnt orange, barring something crazy in the next couple of weeks, it feels like.
Yeah, going to visit Alabama is like going home to visit family because that's originally where he's from. So he got a chance to kind of go home. But look, still checking on it because you just got to cross your eyes and cross your T's and dot your I's. And he may visit, who knows? But we keep checking on it. You don't want to be a surprise. But if he does end up visiting Texas, it's been trying to reach out to him and some people around him just to see if he will visit Texas. But you just never know how to play out when official visits start. You never know. Texas probably won't stop swinging. So you just you always want to just check in and just see maybe what will happen.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I think Texas learned a lesson last year. This is all about. I always felt it was like, okay, recruiting's crazy. What if we do lose Easton Royal, or what if something crazy happens at the end of the cycle? Maybe they decide to go young, and instead of trying to replace Cam Coleman out of a portal guy, they realize 27 is a bit of a rebuild for 28. Go out and get the high school guy that's going to have a year of experience when you're really ready to blow up in 28. I think they learned a valuable lesson last year. They didn't have relationships in place when Hartline left Ohio State for USF with the kid's name, the stud. The modern day wide receiver. Anyway,
CJ Henry, Chris Henry
yeah,
Jr.
Yeah, Henry. They didn't have the relationship in place, and I'm not saying they were going to flip him anyways, but that's really what they didn't even have a chance, and we weren't really tracking that because relationships matter to him as well. Even though Hartline left, he had him in place at Ohio State. But you just want to keep your optionality open and do a little extra work this time of the year. Could pay off in November if you have to go that route. We still think that Sales is going to end up at Indiana. They've done everything right in that recruitment.
Oklahoma had their visit weekend. Oddly enough, not a ton of crossover, but maybe that's just the Jim Nagy era. But there was one literal big target who did go take his official visit to Norman. That's Brian Swanson. Coach, anything to move you off of thinking that Brian Swanson is a Texas lean?
I do not. Nothing's going to move me off that. Look, I know he wanted to go and check out Oklahoma. They've been recruiting him hard, just like other schools. But he wanted to go do his due diligence and go see what they have to offer. But I'm not moving off him in Texas whatsoever. It just seems like the fit has been a fit for a very long time.
Yeah, OU's pushing early playing time, right? Texas as a tackle, he's probably going to have to, it's develop. He's going to compete. If he can expedite his timeline, he's going to play. But I think he feels like maybe it's a little bit easier path at OU, but that's not, he's got this is another recruitment where everything's in place for Texas to win out. And he's an underrated guy too.
It's kind of odd the fact that Oklahoma had basically one that you tracked, and Oregon had about 4 different guys that Texas is interested in. More went to Eugene, Landon Williams, Callis, Junior Tuopo, Toa Satele, and Lucas Roa. Those are going to be, that seems like ones where the visits are going to be important. None of those guys really sound like heavy Texas leans unless or just kind of publicly stated Texas leans. But Eric, those are guys that Texas probably would put at maybe first on the board if they were making their class, especially Williams, Callis, and Satele.
Well, I wish, my crush out of that is, and I love Satele and Williams Callis. I just don't. Speaking of relationships, it doesn't seem like the relationship is there for Texas. I don't know, man. Maybe they have something cooking I don't know about. They love him obviously as a player. It's just the recruitment has had some hiccups in it. Changing coaches, that sort of thing. Satele, once Jaden Nelson, picked Tech, it seemed like they just laser focused on Satele. Johnny Nanson's been out. Actually, Johnny Nanson was at seeing Satele in Hawaii the day that Muschamp and the gang were seeing Jaden Nelson. I think they've got a good shot with Satele, but obviously, Cal's going to be tough. Or Cal is in the mix too, but also Oregon's going to be tough as well. I love Lucas Roa. I think he's one of the most underrated guys that they're after. I know guards aren't sexy. The guy plays tackle in high school, plays a little bit of everything in high school. Tenacious. I think he's a good pass blocker. I think he can run block any scheme. I think he's an excellent prospect, but it seems like they're going to go him or Reed Ramsier in the class. I don't even know if they have a preference. I really love Rowe. I think everybody's underselling him, but again, Oregon is making a tough push for the West Coast kid. Satele, that's one I think Texas has a chance to lock up. Joakim Gouda is going to end up at Georgia. I think everybody kind of knows that already. And Satele's right there at the top of the board.
Anything else on Tuopo or Roa?
Okay, I didn't hear the first guy that you mentioned. Okay, I love him too. Junior James, Junior Tuopo, from Alabaster, Alabama. A lot of talk that he's going to stay in state. Another underrated kid, and he's rated pretty highly. He's a 4-star. He plays corner in high school, which allows you to see all the traits that you want him to translate. Obviously this guy's not going to be anybody you pick on in coverage as a safety. Covering a tight end, he can do that in his sleep. But also has the physical traits, gets his eyes on the ball as a corner that you want that to translate to safety. He's going to be able to ball hawk. I think it's going to be Texas or the Alabama, one of the Alabama schools, honestly. But Oregon's always a threat.
Looking at some other schools, Auburn hosted a couple of Texas targets. Jabarius Garor from Mobile, and then Jaden Nelson also apparently went to Auburn. That's kind of an indication that one's a little bit more open than previously anticipated, and that's going to make the edge discussion a little bit interesting, Coach, as they try to find one more guy for those last spot.
Yeah, definitely. Auburn's trying to do it. They're doing a great job, man. They're trying to keep some talent close to home. They're dipping their toe in Texas, trying to find kids on a regular basis. And so, I mean, look, Auburn, brand new staff. They're talking with a bunch of excitement about what they can do and talking about what they did to South Florida. And so, look, I mean, they're going to make it tough for anybody because they're going to be aggressive when you're a new staff. You trying to live up to the expectations you set when you came in and did an interview, right, with the board, right, and everything else. And so they're going to be aggressive and go at the kids and try to land as many top talented kids as they can to kind of get the start off right in Auburn under the Golish era. So we'll see what happens with that one, though.
Yeah, one thing that really caught my attention last week, KJ Green canceled his visit with Texas. That's almost one of those situations in the modern era where you go, well, maybe I should just put an RPM for Garrett to Texas, because that's kind of what the big board sets up. Like, obviously, we're talking about a guy that they're looking for the big defensive end. We'll talk about him in a minute, who's at Ohio State. But with Green canceling and Garrett setting up really well for Texas, I'm not sure he stays in state. I actually think he kind of wants to get out of state, and that would set up extremely well for UT. I think Miami's making a pretty strong push as well. Got to watch the Canes, right? They can be a threat at a moment's notice. But I think Texas has led the last month or so, and with KJ canceling his visit, this might be already just land the plane situation.
This is a good point from Ryan Nelson. The new SEC coaches, except for Ryan Silverfield, are all grinders. They're all pretty young, so that's probably part of it. We got Will Stein, John Summerall, Alex Golesh. They can put rubber to road on the trail and stay up and stay with it. That's part of it. And
I think that's a good article. Because I've actually been thinking about it, because you got these same guys doing it on the West Coast too. Tosh is grinding out there at Cal. Chesney's grinding at UCLA. There's the whole we always called it the new car smell, where you could come in and sell the new data. Oh, the old staff, no, this is brand new. Everybody gets excited about the new energy and all that. There's a lot of that around the country. Lane Kiffin obviously is doing that at LSU. That's a bit different animal. But there's a lot of younger guys. Summerall is really standing out to me for what he's doing throughout the nation, that are making it harder, because these high school kids, they gravitate to that newer, the younger, the energetic coaches. They like that stuff.
There is a coach that's been around for a while, though. It's Kirby Smart. That's Georgia. You mentioned Joaquin Gouda a little bit, where that one's going to be an extremely tall task for Texas at this point. But Kasai Curry made a cross-country flight out there, and we know that Texas, Eric, really is keen on both the Sierra Canyon guys that they are targeting on the defensive line.
Yeah, I wish they were Siamese twins, man, so they can ensure that they can really double up and get both. Curry, I probably won't know what to think about that recruitment until 5 minutes before he decides. He's going to be all over the map. He likes a lot of these. He genuinely likes a lot of these schools, and so he can be kind of he's a bit of a weather vane. It can change pretty quickly. Just stay the course with him. I think they did what they needed to do with him in the spring. They got ahead actually. It's jockeying for position, and then you just try to win it down the stretch. That's all you can really do in a recruitment like that. Very talented kid. One thing you got to know if you're going to cover Texas recruiting is, who do they really want? Well, they really want him. That's a very important data point. Not who do they like, who do they really want? They want Curry, and so we know that one's going to be very interesting when push comes to shove.
One of the other, speaking of defensive linemen, Raiden Cook, U of H commit from Barbers Hill, took his U of H official visit. And Charlie, what's the sense you have with Cook and where Texas is, showing interest in him? How it feels like there are other guys ahead of him, but they still want to keep him as an option.
I don't know.
Look, yeah, a talented kid. I think that he's definitely on the board for Texas. Where I wouldn't be able to tell you that anyway. But I mean, look, he's an interesting prospect you keep tabs on, right? If you try to flip guys late until December, so you keep tabs on him. Looks like maybe Houston's going to get him try to stay home. You got Texas Tech, they're going to be aggressive, get him to try to flip, right? And I think Texas is right there, right? You just, like I said, Kenny Baker. Every cycle seems like, I guess the last two cycles for him, they're always in it until the end for a lot of these defensive linemen. So you just kind of never know what'll happen. I think Texas will keep tabs on him and kind of see what happens, but. He could choose to stay home, or you see Texas Tech. Like I said, they're really trying to jump in the mix.
I think he's fairly high up the board. We talk about floor setters all the time. You got to make sure that you don't get left at the altar and you hit your needs. Texas had some bad luck at D-tackle recruiting last year. Guys flipping very late. Not much they can do about it. They had good offers out. These guys, other schools just had the need that was much higher, and they were very aggressive. I would love Raiden Cook in this class. I think he's got a lot of upside. When I saw him at the Rivals camp, and this is a camp full of really, really good-looking kids, he stood out. I could see him from across the field. Giant kid, moves pretty well. I think he's going to move a lot better after some strength and conditioning. U of H with a good ID. Texas Tech often has a good ID. and they're being pretty aggressive from what we hear. I think Texas likes the kid quite a bit. I'd love to see him in the class. We'll see if they can get it done. It's again, how much do they value him? That's going to matter because look at it this way. U of H could treat him like a 5-star, whereas Texas has 5 stars as well. They're treating like 5 stars. So that's where you have to kind of figure out the financial incentive there. But Texas likes him quite a bit.
Speaking of defensive linemen, and you kind of touched on this one a little bit, Ohio State hosted Marcus Facato from Sierra Canyon. And Eric, this is a recruitment where kind of every report we get, it sounds like, oh, Facato really had like the best visit ever. He's very enjoying the process and polite in the process and saying everything's a good visit. But this one kind of got some run about a week ago that Ohio State may have made a big move even before he stepped foot in Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider that an educated guess. I think Will Fong put in an RPM for him, and that's what it was, is an educated guess. I've talked to people at Sierra Canyon about it, said, this seems a little premature. I wouldn't put an RPM for him right now. And the guy I talked to says you could talk to 4 coaches at Sierra Canyon, you get 4 different answers of where he'd end up. One source says he thinks he's going to end up at Oregon because he can just fit right in for Mateo Ungalela after next year. But Texas is highly motivated to get him. I like the way things set up there because the college experience does matter to him. We've seen Texas do really well with kids like that. And he's from Southern California. There's a lot of ways that Austin's going to appeal to him. Now Columbus is not a small little backwater town these days. So I could see him liking Columbus as well. Texas is fully in it. Again, it's like with Kasai Curry, try to win it at the last minute.
We'll go to Texas A&M. I haven't spoken about them too much in this one yet, but we had 3 coaches that made their way to College Station. One is Fort Worth North Crowley cornerback John Meredith, probably one of the most competitive recruitments, not just in the state, but in the entire country. The Aggies have kind of been always in that top of the top group. It feels like for Meredith, and it didn't make a commitment before leaving, as no one really expected him to, but sounded like more good returns for the Aggies for John Meredith.
Yeah, he enjoyed his trip. He said it felt like home to him, right? He's been saying that for a very, very long time, as Texas has always crept up and pretty much, I say, has the edge over A&M. But I'm sure A&M did a great job this weekend, getting him around, treating him like a 5-star. They got his mom not to wear something not burnt orange, so I guess they did a good job with that, because usually she's sporting Texas shirts, so that tells you a little bit of something about that. But he enjoyed his visit, and so kind of rolled out the red carpet for him. I know we're talking about Meredith, but one Texas target didn't make his visit down there. That was Bryson Thrower, so he counted his OB to A&M this weekend, so that's huge as well.
Eric, is the Meredith recruitment one of those that also you don't pay attention to until 5 minutes before it's over?
I mean, I'm paying attention to it. It's
right, yeah.
But there's definitely a recency bias to the visit, right? What do you expect you're going to hear out of that? The kid has been very consistent. Even when a couple RPMs went in for Texas, he said, we slowed those RPMs down initially. So this is not a slam dunk for Texas by any stretch, because he has told Coach a lot of good things about A&M. Feeling like home is one of those. But we do feel like Texas made up a lot of ground on him. Pretty quick period of time. If you want a analogous recruitment, it's Anthony Hill. Remember, A&M had the huge lead on Anthony Hill for a long time, and then Texas, even Hill committed A&M for a brief time. But Texas was making up ground the whole time. Even when he committed A&M, we said, just keep watching this. The trend line is still favors Texas. We feel like the trend line favors Texas. A&M has done a great job. Don't get me wrong. They've got an amazing class right now. They've got a pretty sound approach. But we do like the way this is setting up for Texas.
Somebody you've spoken to, Eric Mackay Allen from Don Bosco Prep. Guess he's making a Texas swing these next couple of weeks. He went to A&M this past weekend, has Texas upcoming. And, we had talked about Satele, but Texas is literally looking all over the place for their linebackers.
Well, you need more than 2. They've got Cade Howe committed. The number's at least 3, maybe 4. Mackay just seems like a really obvious fit to replace Gouda in the class. They think Gouda is going to end up at Georgia. Allen seems like a very obvious replacement for Gouda. It's kind of similar. I'm not sure that Allen is maybe Not quite as explosive, but definitely athletic. He's played safety. He played safety and varsity as a freshman at Don Bosco. If you don't know anything about New Jersey football, and none of us do, Don Bosco is one of those schools that you hear about. Them and Bergen Catholic, I think, are the only two high schools up there. But he, started as a freshman at safety, played linebackers, played 5-tech. So there's a really good spatial awareness aspect to his game. He's a very smart football player, smart kid in general. We think Texas has a very good chance to land him. A&M, of course, probably has a recency advantage right now. South Carolina has recruited him very well for a long time. If that Texas visit goes like I think it will, you might be seeing me putting an RPM for him.
And then last but not least, from the big crossover, Brandon Sherrard, who you got to see up close and personal not long ago.
Yeah, it's the word on him has been Texas, LSU. Obviously, A&M pushing hard, and OU's trying to get in the mix. Texas likes him a lot. Texas has a really good cornerback board. We're watching all these guys. Vanderbilt's not going to make our list, but Trent Blaylock was up there with his dad in Nashville checking out Vandy. So competitive, very good big board that Mark Orpheus put together at cornerback. Brandon Sherrard's right there. Having Chris Stewart on campus at Texas helps UT a lot. Chris Stewart has a lot of respect, not only at Shadow Creek, but in that area. Chris Stewart has helped with Greedy James. They played youth football together. Sherrard, we're watching that one pretty closely. LSU is another team to watch as well. Corey Raymond has been very active with Texas corners. It's a very good in-state class. And so you got to watch LSU.
This will be a very big week for recruiting. John Meredith, Marcus Facatal, Toa Satelli, like that's just the top 3 names off the board. Have, I think, over 15 coming in this weekend. I'm going to have to clean up this database, but a lot of guys, including some commits like Keon Hemphill Woods and JT Geraci from Don Bosco Prep making their way to Texas this weekend. So we'll probably have another name or two pop up, and y'all have to check out Inside Texas to see the latest as official visit weekend and official visit season is here. Y'all ready for a lot of fun stuff this week with Texas sports? I think the College Football Hall of Fame ballot just came out, and I think Colt McCoy and I think there's one more, Casey Hampton. Yeah, Colt McCoy and Casey Hampton.
Hampton needs to be on it. Didn't Hampton have like 100 tackles as a D tackle? Something ridiculous in one season.
And then softball gets going in about 45 minutes. We'll find out what baseball's doing before too long. I think they are waiting on the other side of the Oregon Regional. I went to bed before that one was done. So lots of good stuff over at Inside Texas. Make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. You can use that first link in our description, or you can use the QR code that's right by my head. Sign up. You get 50% off your annual subscription. Anything else to touch on, or just keep it moving towards the site? We will be talking this all week.
Yeah, I got to go write some.
I think that's a good plan. Coach, thank you so much. Eric, thank you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on IT Live on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel.